So when you're multiplying, just times across, x times y gives you xy, 2 times 5 gives you 10. Happy days? With these ones, again, you could, if you really wanted to, times across. Is that an E or a C? C times 1 you could have is C. 5 times C is 5C, but then you have to cancel to get the 1/5. You might as well do it right at the beginning and do your cancelling. Agreed? Question 2, similarly, was, I think, basically it became question number 1 because all you had to do was replace the divide with a times and flip your fraction. Huzzah? So again, if you sort of went, I haven't finished all of those yet, don't worry, you're not missing a whole heap. And you can go back and practice when I'm quiet in a minute because you've got a double lesson and you've got time to catch up on stuff. Here, you would go C over 5. The big deal with G, and you'll see there's quite a few that have them, is that all you have, oh, it's going to be one of those days, is that it is just technically over 1. So then you do exactly the same thing. I think it's one of you guys who have got something in here that's disturbing my board. Times 1 over C. Yeah? And then what can you do? Well, the C's can cancel, and lo and behold, sorry for 2 equal signs on one line, but we get the 1/5. And that was just like, oh my goodness, just like one of those up there. So 1 and 2, you just scooch through. If you wanted to do just the bottom row, I'm happy. If you quiz your neighbour and say, what do you reckon this is? You're just looking at it. I'm happy with that too. Okay. This one is an example in your textbook, but hopefully we'll be able to go, yep, no sweat. So don't try and do everything at once. Just look at the numerator. Ask yourself those key questions. Can I factorise? Is there a common factor? Then look at the denominator and then do the same on the opposite, on the other fraction, okay? So we're looking, is there a common factor? Yeah. Of? Y. Thank you very much. So we go y, and then clearly in our bracket we will put y minus 1, right? Y times y is y squared. So you're getting that practice of those common factors. Once again, if you look at your worksheet, if you go back and look at the questions that we did previously, you probably just had this as a question by itself, saying factorise. The reason is that now, hopefully, we can do it just without having to think too much. Okay, downstairs, can't factorise that, so it's just y take 2. Times, I put times. We ask ourselves that question for the top line. Is there a common factor? Yep, what is it? 3, awesome. Remember, just one thing at a time. If you try and do it all at once, what goes in my bracket? Double check. 3 times y, yep. 3 times 2, yep. Not going wrong here. What about the denominator? 4. Well done. What will go in my bracket? So 4 times y is 4y. 4 times 1, don't forget that. Okay, that, excellent. We haven't finished because now we look and we go, can we cancel any fractions up and down or diagonally? So clearly, I don't know about you, but I can definitely see a y take 1. And because that's a whole factor and there's a times in between there, I'm allowed to go, doop, 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 doop. Is there anything else I can cancel? The y take 2, because technically there is a bracket around that, and this y take 2. Now imagine if you didn't ask yourself, can I factorise it first? You're trying to times all of this by the top and times the denominator. That's disgusting. Disgusting. So always make sure, look for your common factors, see if you can cancel, and then you can take it from there. So that's like a 1 there. So y times 1 times 3 times 1. So on the top line we have 3y. 1 times 4, 4. How much nicer is that? Does that make sense? Same thing over here. The only difference is that replace the divide with a times and away you go. What do you reckon? Easy? So I would be saying you shouldn't have to spend too much time on question 1 and 2. There's only 6 questions in question 3. There's a hint, and I'll save this on the doodad, but there's a hint for question 3F, because you don't need to know how to factorise that at this point in time. Are we happy with that? Now just judge by, can I keep going with the adding and subtracting? Yeah. And then, as I said, I'll save it, put it on. You can either look at the stuff from your textbook or look at these notes and keep on going. But you've got all those basic skills now. Oh, that was if anyone had. If you wanted to do question 3, I can do it on the board. Okay. So when we're adding and subtracting fractions, shouldn't be anything new to us. Girls, you've got to do it quietly, yeah? When they've got the same denominator, 3/7 plus 2/7, we know this. You just keep the denominator, add the numerator, all is well. Simples. Primary school. Agreed? However, when we've got different denominators, we have to find the lowest common denominator. What's the lowest number that 5 and 2 both go into? 10. Great tip. Just times the numbers together. Bang. And then you're saying, 5 times what gives me 10? So what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the, remember this? And that's what we call cross multiplying. So you can go 2 times 5, 1 times 5, bang. We happy with that? You can do the same thing when we have something like this. However, if you times 8 by 4, I did it over here, you get 32, bigger number. Cross multiply, boom, boom, then you have to do another step of cancelling. We don't want to do that, especially when we've got x's involved. So we want to find the lowest common denominator. What's the smallest number that 8 and 4 both go into? In this case, it's 8. So you go, well, that's already the 8, so put the 5 there. What did I times 4 by to get to 8, 2, and so on? Does that make sense? This is the adding your fractions to get the denominator times. But when we've got x's, as we said, we want to get the lowest common. So, one that we prepared earlier, and again, this is going to be on your OneNote. You can go and have a look. You probably don't need to. With this one, nice and easy. What's the smallest number that 2 and 3 both go into? So I like to do a nice big 6, and then you cross multiply. 3a plus 2a, 3a plus 2a is 5a. By the way, I'm starting to go faster because you're just being very silent, not asking me questions. Are we okay with this? Got to do this if you're stuck. All right, when you're subtracting, same deal. What's the smallest number that 2 and 5 both go into? 10. Okay, and cross multiply, so that becomes 5d. Take 2 3s are 6. I've got the 6 and the 10. Can I cancel those? No, I cannot, because there's this minus up here. I'm not allowed to go, oh, 2 goes into 6 and 10. Can't do that, right? Trick question. If there was a times here, absolutely I could. But because there's that take and there's no common factor, cannot cancel. That's as low as it goes. All right, next one. We're looking for a common, the lowest common number that 8 and 12 both go into. Because I really don't want to go 8 times 12. So who's got a tip for how they work that out? Someone just said 24, Tom did. How do we work that out? Do you just know your times tables really well? Correct. Absolutely. You take the biggest number and then you just look at its multiples. You double it, right? So 12, well 8 doesn't go to 12, but then 12 times 2, 24. Does 8 go into 24? Oh, Yes, it does. So you take the biggest one and you see if the others go in. So 8 times 3 gives you 24. So that then becomes 15. What did you do to 12 to become 24? Times 2. So you do the top. I'm not expecting you to write these little doodads in. If you want to, go for it. If you don't, no need. Huzzah? So now, got 3 terms. Same deal. What's the smallest number that 4, 3 and 6 all go into? Yep, take 6, double it, 12, and then away you go. Bless you. Are we happy with that? So where does that go? Just one more step. Again, I'll write all this down. It's the same bit over and over again. So we've already done a question where we had 2 and 5 as our as our denominators. Agreed? So we do the same thing. We go, right, what's a number that 2 and 5 both go into? Yes, it's 10. What did we do to the 2? We had to times it by 5, so we have to do the same to the top. 5 now. This is please pay attention. Those of you who are in a rush might just go 5x times 10. I like to put my brackets. Because when you've got this minus here, what did I times 5 by to get to 10? 2, so it has to be minus 2. 4 take 3x. If you just did, minus 8 take 6, you will end up with the wrong answer. Because what's a negative times 8? Gives you a positive. So if you didn't have those brackets there, you would end up with the wrong answer. But it's exactly the same that we did for this question here. Would you agree? 2 5s gave you the 10, and then you cross multiplied. We're doing exactly the same thing here. 2 5s are 10. You cross multiplied. You just have to multiply everything by that 5 and everything by the 2. Doable? Are you able to gather like terms? Of course you can. 5x plus 6x is 11x. Minus 10 take 8 is minus 18. There's no question even now that, you can't cancel that any further. Sorry, boring you. Capiche? Hello?
So is the top pink one wrong or right? Like, are they both right? Like, are they both the steps?
Is the top pink one? Yep, you have to do all of these steps.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm warning you about, sorry if that was confusing, what some people like to do is they just go, 5x, they times it, yes, I have to times this by 5, so 5x, take 10, I have to times this by 2, they go minus 8, take 6x, and then they would be wrong. Because 5x take 6x is minus 1. With the bracket, you're seeing that a negative times a negative is a positive. Some of you out there are going, yeah, well, I know that, and I'll make sure that that is a positive. You say it, but errors crop up. Have your brackets, reduces the errors. Okay? And that's me nearly done, so I can just come around, you can chat quietly. Just be careful. Make sure that you do have your lowest common denominator. So if we have a look here, what's the lowest denominator? Try not to look there. That 2x and of x squared. Do we agree why it's 2x squared? X squared's biggest. You got to have the times 2 and away you go. So I feel like I'm telling you to suck eggs because you're looking at me as if, Mwah. We okay?
Wait, can you say that again?
I can say that again. Where did that go? If we look at that one, it's addition. So we're not looking to cancel stuff. We're looking to go, what is the lowest common denominator? So what is the lowest denominator that 6 and y both go into? What do they have in common at the moment? Do we all agree? Has to be a y. It can't be 3y because 6 doesn't go into 3. 18. Right? 6 can't go into 9. So 9 and 6 both go into 18. So that's the headset that you've got to have. Agreed? And then you're asking yourself those questions. What did I times 6y to get to 18y? 3. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. What did I times 9y by? Someone just give me the bird. Plus 4x, 7x, plus 18y. No common factors anywhere there. Done. Okay? So please, when you're looking at some of these, if you go, oh, honestly, it's insulting to me, go every second one. We okay? So I'll just save this, pop it on OneNote. You can look at it, you can disregard it. If you want to come up on the board and find the page that you go, oh, she did that one, just come and maneuver. My board, your board.